with the thinking of I want to be friends with them because they're pretty. Hello everyone, I am so excited to see you guys here. Have you ever caught yourself giving reasoning to someone else's actions? Do I hear a few yeses in the back? I sure do. And I have a few of these excuses that I got myself giving myself or explaining to myself. A pretty privilege exists, so it's maybe I don't look as good, and that's why certain people don't want to be friends with me. And I do realize that it's a very shallow thought, right? We don't actually become friends with anyone with the thinking of I want to be friends with them because they're pretty. No one actually does that, right? Maybe when we were 12, I don't know. But that's not something that most of us use as a criteria of becoming friends with someone. So what generally helped me with this was I was scrolling one day. She was having this meeting with a really wealthy client, and from what I got, it was a meeting. It was a, what do you call it? It was sort of a FaceTime meeting, I don't know. It was just a meeting where they could see each other, right? And from what I previously knew about the marketing sector, it was based on the amount of clients that you can persuade, the fact that a lot of that is sometimes dependent on pretty privilege, where pretty people sort of do better in these fields. I'm so sorry, but my throat is dead, so I might sound a little raspy today. But yeah, so I had this understanding of this system. So what I expected was, okay, yeah, the people working over here are probably gonna be pretty. They're gonna be very well dressed, very perfect movie finance type people. So when I had a look at her page, I realized that she wasn't as conventionally pretty, okay? She is beautiful. I feel like everyone's beautiful, but there is a conventional system that we have set, which also changes a lot, but that's a topic for another video. So I felt like she wasn't as conventionally pretty, right? She wasn't what we see on Instagram most of the time. So I look at a page and I see her talking to her clients with such confidence, and her communication skills were so excellent. She was so good at her job that it made me realize that it's not a requirement. You don't have this condition of only pretty people convince others, or yeah, it does help sometimes, I think. But it sort of hit me then, my stupid teenage head, that you don't need to be pretty to sway people, to convince others of your ideas. It's so superficial. Everyone knows this, but then sometimes we get so carried away with life that we don't really touch grass and realize this. I'm so sorry. But that's true. So that's when it hit me, like, maybe it's because I'm ugly is not an excuse or an explanation as to why someone wouldn't want to be friends with me. Or some teachers might not listen to me as much, or I won't be able to convince others of my ideas because there were conventionally not as attractive or pretty people who were able to do that, who are able to do that. It's something that we actually subconsciously use. No one consciously believes that I'm ugly, that's why they don't want to be friends with me. Sometimes you do when you're in a rut and you feel like everything's wrong, but mostly if you think about it, yeah, no one's gonna avoid me just because they feel like I'm not as conventionally attractive. At least just to be friends, right? The second one is maybe because I'm not smart, not as smart. And this could actually be true sometimes if it depends on the sort of crowd you want to get into, okay? So if you want to be friends with the most studious kids in class, the toppers or whatever, then maybe this could be a reasoning. But if you mess up in class, if you answer to the teacher and you're wrong with something, that's okay. That does not make you stupid. That does not mean that all the smart kids think you're stupid now. That's not true, okay? That's something I gave myself sometimes, being like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm just dumb, so that's why they don't want to be friends with me. But you know what? At least you're trying, okay? There was this one lecture I had a few days ago where I answered to something, and it was sort of a cycle from first product, the process, no, from the first from the first substance, the reaction. My voice is dead. Okay, so it was the substance, the reaction, and the product. And what I did was I flipped it over. So my process was correct, but I mixed up the end product and the starting substance. It made me feel so stupid. And I felt stupider because, or more stupid because I knew the answer. I knew it in my head. Like when I thought of it, I knew exactly what the process was, what was gonna happen, everything. But then when I said it out loud, I somehow mixed it up. Okay? And after that, when I saw a few people sort of maybe be in their own world, okay? Maybe they weren't even intending on it, they were just doing their own thing. I felt like a few of the smart kids sort of avoided me. And I caught myself saying, oh, maybe it's because I gave the wrong answer. Now they think I'm stupid and they're avoiding me because of that. And I talked to them later, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm so embarrassed I did that. And then they were like, oh no way. Like the way they reacted to it, they were like, we understood that you knew, but you just couldn't put it into words perfectly, and we laughed about it. It was just fine, okay? And most of the people had no idea what the teacher even asked about, so even if I would have answered it wrong the way I did, and if the teacher wouldn't have corrected me, they would have no idea that I was wrong in the first place. So the thing is, smart kids were also dumb at times, okay? Smart kids have been dumb, and most of the times they want to help you. Here we have the third and last explanation that I found myself giving, that people around me had a preconceiving notion of me that was particularly negative. Oh, she's like this, or she's like that. And I'm not saying that this is true. It's when we believe that they have this preconceived notion of us, and it being there, it could be there and it couldn't, because this is our point of view. We could be correct in believing that they have this preconceived notion of me, but we also could be very, very, very wrong, okay? And how do I explain this? Okay, let's go back to the little smart thingy I talked about. If we feel like the smart kids think we're dumb, but we still want to be friends with them, okay, how do you imagine you being able to be good friends with someone that you thinks that you're stupid or you're not as smart? You can't, right? Because even little things that they don't have bad intention with are gonna make you feel insecure, make you feel like they're taunting you for not being as smart, or they're degrading you maybe in some way. When you have this preconceived notion of this person does not think I'm smart, anything they will do, even if it has no significance to you, you will feel like it is directed to you, and it's directed to you saying that you're not as smart. Because we have this tendency of, what do you call it? I don't remember the statement, but it's something that goes like, when we believe something, we find things that support the statement. So if I feel like this person thinks I'm dumb, I'm going to look for things that reinstate that fact that this person thinks I'm dumb. And how can you ever be friends with someone that you feel like thinks you're dumb, right? And I've seen this happen with people when they first start to dress a certain way. So maybe if you're very modest, okay, you sort of, in the start, this has happened to me personally, and this is very normal, okay, I would feel like if the seat next to me looks like a black hole to everyone else, it's because maybe I'm dressed a certain way, and they feel like she's very modest, or maybe she judges everyone else. I have felt that way personally. You sort of blame it, and okay, yeah, maybe because I'm being modest, or it could be the other way around. Maybe someone doesn't dress very modestly, okay, doesn't dress modestly at all. They might feel like other people leave them out because the other people have this notion of, my goodness, she's too modern, or she's modern as in a bad sense of way, when people sway it in the way of, yeah, she's too forward or whatever. The thing that made me stop blaming this as or explaining this as a reasoning to why some people wouldn't want to be friends with me is when I realized that as long as I believe that these people have a prejudice over me, I will not be a good friend to them. Like, how can you be friends with someone else when you believe that someone else has this prejudice and this preconceived notion of you that is very negative? How can you be a good friend to them? I will not interact with them in a way that they feel welcome to being friends with me. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. And when I thought about this, I started to reflect on myself, be like, is there actually any solid proof except from maybe them not taking a seat next to me, which could be very explainable. Maybe they don't like the seat, okay? Maybe they don't want to sit right in front of the teacher like I do. Maybe they have people they want to sit next to in the back. Maybe they want to just sleep through the lecture, okay? Those are valid reasonings for them to avoid the seat. And yeah, when I started to tell myself that people don't actually mostly have any preconceiving notions about anyone, because who thinks about anyone else that much? It helped me sort of open up to people as much, open up to them and be comfortable, because comfort is such a it's very obvious. So if I feel like I have this belief of you having a preconceiving notion of me that's negative, I can't be comfortable with you, right? And being uncomfortable and awkward in a way, not even awkward, just being uncomfortable in a conversation is very apparent. So even if they did not have that preconceiving notion that you believe they had, they will go from the conversation feeling like, yeah, maybe she's not comfortable with me. Maybe they feel like you actually have some sort of beliefs about them, or you didn't feel as good talking to them, right? So that's what. Telling myself that most people don't actually have prejudice or preconceiving notions of me sort of helped me open up more to them and me be a better friend to them, and it invites more people to be friends with you, right? But at the end of the day, sometimes people just won't like you, and that's fine. But a lot of times that's not the case. Maybe you haven't found your crowd yet, but that's okay. It's very normal to have to do things alone, because it's not a need for you to have a lot of friends. Yes, emotionally you want to talk to people, where we depend on connections. I'm not talking about connections right now, but I'm talking about the sort of friends where you go out together all the time, or you walk from lecture to lecture together, stuff like that. It is not mandatory, okay? You are a human being. You are one entity that can handle itself. If it was impossible for people to sustain themselves alone, I think no one would be alive. But that's what you need to remind yourself, that you are a complete entity. You do not need people to walk you from classes or to eat with you or to always talk to you or whatever. You can be alone. It's totally normal. It's human to be alone, okay? I think that's where I end it, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I would love to hear you guys' feedback or ideas or whatever pops in your head, because I love you guys. Explanation is, but yeah, trust me, smart kids were also dumb at times, okay? Smart kids have been dumb, and most of the times they want to help you, because honestly, the smartest people that I have seen were also really sweet, really helpful, and yeah. So that sort of explains to me or breaks down the fact that, yeah, no one's avoiding being friends with me because